Chapter 939. An old leopard knows what the phrase is.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pod D Cast, the only weekly show that isn't weekly. That's how you know that we're here. Welcome. I'm the best guy ever, and this is Hippocrit.
I mean, it is a weekly show. It's just contingent
As long
on
as they're
mango
weekly.
chapters.
We're kind of at their mercy here. Not much we can do about it, for the most part. We could make up chapters. Some people have proposed doing extra reviews on off weeks, but fuck that.
Nah, we're both busy boys. We both
That's
have
true.
we have real things going on. Not that this
Indeed.
isn't real, but
Give us way more money if you want us to do that. But I also make no promises, so you might just be throwing it into the void. Let's get into chapter 939. An old horse knows the way.
Yes.
According to Jiminy's box.
I want to get into this just a little bit.
Sure.
This is Jiminy's box changing the title a little to make it work in English.
Well, I better go check Manga Stream then.
And, well, it's not that I think there's anything wrong with that specifically, but it just reminded me of, like, that time where, I forget her name, the Fishman Karate Girl, she was doing that thing, and they changed...
Koala, yes.
They removed the kanji from her clothing that was drawn on and replaced it with words.
Mm-hmm.
And Jiminy's box does a lot of that stuff. And I was thinking about the map from chapter or two ago that was at the end of the chapter, which somewhat spoiled Hiyori being Komurasaki.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose.
And we were thinking that was a real map, and I wasn't sure it was. I had heard from some people that it wasn't a real map. Apparently,
people said that like editors made it, not Oda. So does it count?
Yeah,
I mean,
like in any case, it doesn't look like Oda made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was having an argument in the Pod D Discord about whether
Like
that was
blood.
like a good thing or a bad thing to spoil Komurasaki and all that stuff. So if you want to be in discussions about stuff, I'm in there. I'm in the Pod D Discord.
Indeed. I'm in there fairly regularly as well. You know, that's an interesting conundrum. Let's just compare the two titles they went with. So like we said, Jiminy's was an old horse knows the way, and there's an asterisk after horse because it's supposed to be an old horse. And so in English, an old horse, you can't teach an old horse new tricks. Is that the one?
Or you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You're right. So, okay, I'm guessing the gist here. Okay, let me actually read the little translator's note below. It says, in the Japanese, horse, uma, is changed to leopard, hyo, for a three-way pun. We have tried to make this work in English. So, you can tell that they're trying to, like, adapt. Apparently, originally, it's a saying that says, an old horse, something, and it was changed to leopard, and because the character's name is hyo, so it's like a pun that kind of uses the English pronunciation of horse, I would think, uma, being replaced with hyo, meaning leopard. I don't know if that was originally intended to be about English. Okay, but anyway, Manga Stream's translation is, an old leopard's claws are always sharp. So, pretty big difference there.
Yeah.
But this comes down to the conundrum that is localization. And
it's not a Jiminy's
tough.
box problem, really. It's just...
It's larger than that.
Sometimes you can't do the translation properly
Well,
or
it's
perfectly.
That's true, but it's about like what your priority is when it comes to when you're adapting from one language to another. There's also a lot of cultural baggage, and that's part of what's coming in here. It's like it's a particular expression, I think, that has a certain meaning, and because we do not speak the language natively, at least, it's hard for us to really know the exact meaning of all these things, and any kind of translation will lose data and will lose information of a kind, and they can try to approximate it in a bit. And so sometimes it helps to just completely change what's being discussed about so that while you're not saying the exact words of the character, you're conveying the same kind of meaning to the target audience. Like, there is a logic in that kind of an approach, and the most famous example that I always think about when I think about this is in Fooly Cooly. I believe it's in episode 2, whichever one's about Nina Mori, I think. I could be wrong about this. But there's a discussion that happens about Crystal Pepsi. And if people don't know, Crystal Pepsi is a very limited run. I think it might actually be coming back now for nostalgia baiting or whatever. But it was a limited run clear cola, made by Pepsi. It was like a version of their cola, and it was a big marketing push. And like it went over like a lead balloon. It did not succeed. And it was canceled quickly. And the characters in Fooly Cooly, in English, in the dub, are discussing Crystal Pepsi. Because in the original Japanese dub, the native dub, like, they're discussing not Crystal Pepsi, but, like, some other Japanese-only drink that also had kind of, like, a limited run thing. And the idea they were getting at was about these kind of, like, brief periods of time, like a specific product that was on the market. So it was an attempt to convey the same idea. They talk about something completely different, but that they thought the audience might understand. So that's the kind of way it can work.
I mean...
Yeah?
I don't remember Crystal Pepsi. I guess it was before my time or something.
It was before both of our time a little bit.
All right, well. So I guess for people who remember it from that time, I mean, if it was like a Japanese drink that was also a limited run from the same time period, then I would understand Crystal Pepsi being substituted. But like if it's like a Japanese drink that's more recent, then like you got to think of like the age range of people who are supposed to understand. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I'm just looking it up. So Crystal Pepsi came out, just for fun. This is an interesting discussion. Crystal Pepsi came out, and it ran from apparently 1992 to 1994, and I believe Fooly Cooly came out in 2001. So that's about 9 years later. So, like, I was two. I was 2 in 1992 when this came out. So, I wasn't like... I was before my time, before I was like a conscious thinking consumer of various products and media and stuff. But like for the people who are writing Fooly Cooly, probably like the 20, 30, 40-year-olds, to them it was probably a fairly sizable cultural touchstone. And it's another thing. Like, how far do you go back? Like, let's say that this phenomenon of whatever the drink was in Japan, like, it was identical to the Crystal Pepsi phenomenon in America, essentially, but Crystal Pepsi had been like 50 years ago. But however, it was the same phenomenon. Would it be appropriate to like reference in that way? Like, sure, you could make a case for it, but like, would people know about it? These are all the complicated questions that come into the localization process. And, guys like me who I have gone out of my way to try to learn Japanese, and I intend to do far more. Like, I want to, I've given up. I'm never going to understand Vietnamese media natively. I've given up on Vietnamese, on Chinese, on that stuff. But Japanese media is the one thing that I decided to commit some significant time in my life to trying to be able to digest, because it's got a lot of the stuff I like. So like, I want to put in the effort to fully be able to parse, not all, certainly not all, but many of these like Japanese cultural things and the language-specific puns and whatnot. And obviously, I got a long way to go. But like, you got to think about like the layperson in America in English is not going to do that. So like, what's the right thing to do for the mass consumer in America?
Well, that would probably be the gimmick of our show. Like, you would read like the Japanese version, I'd read the English version, and when there's a Japanese pun, you would say, "Well, actually, let me Japanese-splain here."
Ooh, that'd be fun. I would love to do that.
And then you'd do that, and I'd be like, "Ooh, clever."
If I really get serious about my Japanese, maybe in 1 year from now, we could have a discussion like that, if I really up my game. Although I don't know where to find scans. Well, whatever. Okay, anyway, people, that all aside, let's move on to not the chapter, but the cover page here.
Yes, I've been staring at Jinbei with a big smile on his face, getting a haircut from a crab man, also with a big smile on his face.
Everyone seems like they're having a good time here. So
it looks like he's just going to cut his top knot off. Isn't that, like, bad?
You'd think that you would, like, put down your hair, your top knot, before you begin cutting. Maybe the barber's about to do that, cut it off. Also, is he wearing like a glove on his left clipper or to our right?
I think he's wearing a glove that's to hold the hair, and this other claw is.
We don't
to
do
cut.
that in America. We go rough. We go unprotected haircuts.
Well, I mean that's because American human beings don't have claws for hands that need gloves to prevent them from cutting things.
I suppose that's fair. Okay. Anyway, good job, Jinbei. Enjoy your haircut. Okay, let's move on to the actual chapter here.
Yes, so, Momonosuke's younger sister Hiyori, the thing we learned last chapter.
There she is.
is Zoro's going, whoa, and then she's all excited that Momonosuke is known to be alive and is probably here, and it's cool.
That's nice. Understandably, she's a little freaked out about this. This is very positive news, because she did not know up to this moment that had no reason to believe that Momonosuke had really survived. So that must be relieving. Good for you, Hiyori. Hooray! Yeah.
She's all like happy and hyper and stuff. And then we get next panel, the next page.
Sorry. Before we go to the next page, there is one important detail on this first page. After Zoro makes it clear he's an ally and all that stuff, he's not an enemy, so she's looking a bit like a ditz. Okay, in the bottom panel, I don't know, I wonder how many people looked into this, because I did a little research. I thought it was interesting. So Hiyori here is listing off the names of their allies, and she's asking, where's Kinemon? Where's Kanjuro and Raizo? And then she says, Kiku no Jo. And I thought, does she mean Okiku? Our beautiful, feminine, lovely samurai woman?
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might have missed that. So I looked into it. I was like, why is she calling her Kiku no Jo? What does that mean? I did a little digging, and it turns out there is historically a real-life kabuki actor. This is apparently a passed-down title. Japan's a weird place. They pass down titles of like famous like actors or whatnot. And apparently currently what's known as the 7th Seigawa Kiku no Jo. This is there's a title of a real person who's apparently alive now, I think, if I understand correctly. But the point is, there's a person called Seigawa Kiku no Jo, and what it is a kabuki actor that is male who plays female characters in kabuki theater. That is the reference of the name Kiku no Jo.
Yes. This is a thing that happens a lot in theater in general. And yeah, this is probably deliberate. I think this is going to be a thing now.
I'm prepared to make a hard statement. I feel utterly confirmed by this reference here that based on everything we've seen, Okiku is 100% male, guaranteed. This is my claim. I feel 100% certain at this point.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you assume their gender, though?
Well, I'm just basing going off the reference. God damn it! But also fair. I am a problem. But there you go. So there's the research people. I did a little digging. People online seem to agree on this. It's very likely a reference. Now, yeah. I suppose it's possible that she's just like male, and this is just like a name that's drummed up to play more devil's advocate, false flags, red herrings, etc. But no, I feel convinced that Kiku is a male. Makes sense for everything we've seen so far. And so we'll see. We'll see as it goes. There you go, people. Okay, but now that that's out of the way, we can move along.
Yeah, so Zoro's explaining to himself, like, okay, so Momo was sent 20 years into the future, and he's still 8 years old, and his younger sister, Hiyori, has grown up 20 years, and now you're 26.
Do you think he's going to want to sex his own sister? Because he's a big pervo, and he won't know that it's her?
I think
Look
that
at
might
his
be
face
like
there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be like a scene, like, oh, haha, you're really hot. Let me nestle in between your boobies. Uh-oh, it's my sister.
I mean, is that... He did that with, like, Robin, and that, like, for him, sure, it was kind of like a sexual thing, but it wasn't like a sexual thing for Robin, you know? It was, like, motherly.
No, he's gonna be very conflicted. Or maybe he won't be, and then it'll be even funnier.
Am I crazy to think that, like, Japan is a little more down with, like, these kind of incestuous I mean, personally, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying that, like, compared to American culture, it seems like Japan is far more comfortable making jokes about, like, you know, brothers and sisters wanting to shag. Is that, do you agree?
I mean, I don't know about American culture, really.
Western, I suppose. Western
culture. But, I suppose it seems more, like, I don't hear a lot of incest jokes in the UK. That's because everyone hates each other.
I guess in America we have hillbillies who are known to be
silly
stereotypically big incest individuals, but fair enough.
Famously.
Kind of. That's the first thing people think of. Okay, but anyway. So hopefully he will not accidentally fuck his own sister.
I mean, we've got royalty over in the UK. Royalty is all incestuous.
That's true. And these guys are royalty, too. They were fucking, I think, wasn't Odin, like, the shogun or something, briefly? Yeah, he was. So this is the princess. So there you go.
Anyway.
He's going to fuck his own sister. This is Targaryen shit. It's
so,
going down.
Otoko here, Laughing Girl, apparently knows this secret. She knows about the future people. So she knows a lot. And
she knows it all.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about the fact that we haven't got a confirmation that this is Komurasaki. And I don't know...
True.
Like, it's so obvious that I feel like in some ways it might not be the case, but I guess it just is.
I'm just gonna pretend that it's confirmed and just like I don't know. It seems basically like I think that she was just pretending before. And as we go through this chapter, we'll see that she talks about like how she fell into despair and lost her will to live. I feel like she built up, I don't know, like this other personality of Komurasaki as some kind of defense mechanism or something. I don't know. That's the best I got.
It's pretty weird, though. Like, she's so happy and cheerful and, like, you know, not even a little bit like the Komurasaki we were seeing. But that Komurasaki was constantly surrounded by people that she would have had to be acting up in front of, so...
Yeah.
I guess it was an act, maybe. A kabuki act, in fact.
Oh, shit. You know, my instinct was to think that, like, after learning that Momonosuke was still alive and the rebellion, like, was coming... Hiyori here changed her attitude from her Komurasaki, dour countenance and whatnot. The thing is, though, she actually was acting way nicer before she found out from Zoro just now that he is, like, part of the resistance and the rebellion and whatnot, and he just told her that Momonosuke is alive. So her personality changed already. And, like, she did not know that the rebellion was coming, I don't think. I don't know. I think we need to learn. I think we're going to learn a little more information about her. They're going to be like, we should not forget what a bitch Komurasaki was. She was a colossal bitch who ruined men's lives, essentially for a goof. So
you got to keep up the kabuki act.
Yeah, you don't have to ruin men's lives, though. If
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I get she was involved with like the Yakuza, and like she had to like pay her keep and like make money to, I don't know, do that kind of shit. I think we'll see more of her story. I don't know. Maybe it's not her. Maybe it's a red herring.
I mean,
I don't fucking know.
All right. Here's like a future vision from me.
Okay.
Her being like an evil bitch that forces men to do things. I think Momonosuke is going to recognize that as the traits that his little bratty sister had. He's like, oh, you are my sister. Like something like that will happen.
Are you saying that women are all thoughts?
No, I'm saying like younger sisters are brats, and that is
True.
how Momonosuke will figure it out.
Well, what we call a brat who grew up but didn't mature, I guess is a thought. Or a bitch. I guess it's a bitch. Fair enough. I guess that's what happens when you don't mature. I mean, it's true of men too, but okay, whatever. Anyway, yeah, we get it, Komurasaki. Blah, blah, blah. Your whole family died. Everyone left. Wah, cry, cry, cry. Get over it. Your whole family's dead. Well, my whole family's still alive, and that sucks. So
there's a line here where she's saying, the reason she didn't go into the future is because in case they failed, they wanted to ensure that there was a way for the bloodline to survive.
That sucks for her, man.
It sucks. Especially since, like, most of them went into the future and she was basically left alone.
Yeah, they ditched her with
just
this
one of the
guy.
guys, Kawamatsu the Kappa, as you were saying the last time, with the Kappa Papa laugh.
Yep. He's a Kappa.
He's a fish.
Damn right.
Or something.
It's like a weird duckbill turtle guy. I'm sure we'll see him soon.
Yep. Oh, wait, so, that means he's probably a mink then.
Well, the only thing is that, like, they are like a fictional Japanese lore specific creature. So like minks seem more like real life animals combined with humans. So I mean I don't know. Maybe that'll turn out to be the case. Maybe he's a man who ate some sort of like turtle devil fruit. Oh wait, we already know someone who ate the turtle devil fruit. That was fucking Peacons, the lion man, the lion turtle. So I don't know. Whatever. Oh. Maybe he'll have eaten a devil fruit to be a like a mythical Zoan Kappa, or maybe he will just literally be a Kappa. We'll see. I suppose we'll see.
I mean, I see the mink connection because the Odin family was friends with Gold Roger, who was friends with minks.
That is true. That is fair to say. Yeah, okay.
I mean, later on, she's like learning that the doggy and the kitty are alive, and she goes all funny. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, here we get Kappa. We get some. Here's what was his full name?
Kawamatsu the Kappa.
Kawamatsu, and here he is being cool. He's got a huge big hat.
Sure does.
The hat that you, I think, noticed in one of the houses. And potentially the hat worn on the back of the guy that was in that cover page a long time ago in front of Laboon.
Looks similar, but keep a note of that because we see more evidence of this later in the chapter. But we'll get back to that.
Yeah. So basically, he was like Rosinante, but like not stupid. Apparently, it seems like.
Yeah, he was actually competent and not a fucking snitch. So good for him.
he raised her to laugh and be happy about stuff, and he seems like a really cool, funny guy.
Yep, sure does. I'm impressed by his presence already in the story. Who raised this girl for like, let me see, 7 years. For 7 years he took care of her.
Yeah.
What a nice guy. He didn't even molest her once. Imagine that.
I'm also enjoying the fact
that
of the three samurai we've been told about, 2 of them have been revealed, and they're not even remotely the same sort of character. They're very much distinct. One is completely cynical with the way things have gone, and the other one is fiercely loyal and kind of goofy, I think.
It does seem that way, yeah. They're both interesting. They're actually, so far... They're doing a decent job making me interested in these, like, all my thoughts about, like, Wano's going to be just, like, generic swordman time. Feeling a little more rosy now. I'm liking a lot of these characters. I am interested to see what they can do. I'm hungry for more. Like the lead up to all of Wano was, like, we know they got cool swords and stuff. We had Kinemon able to cut fire. So far, there has not been any kind of interesting sword techniques introduced in Wano. Like Kinemon just already had that ability that we met way long ago in Punk Hazard. So I really hunger for more of that. So I hope we get to see more cool swordman technique stuff as we go along, and not just like stuff that we see at the end of this chapter of general haki powers. But in any case, we'll get back to that later.
So, the doggy and the kitty are alive. Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, and she goes with this scrunchy face with the big eyes.
That's that's a good one right there.
I've already made it into an emote for the Discord.
Oh, there you go. See, this guy's on top of it. Join the Discord, people. Link down below. Use that emote. That's going to be an emote in use when we post this episode live. That will be instantly attached to this episode. In the announcement board section. So
here we go. The 9 red scabbards. I think this is the first hard evidence of who they are.
I believe so.
So Kinemon Kanjuro Raizo Okiku or Kiku Namamushui or whatever.
Kiku Nojo. Kiku Nojo. That was it.
Inuarashi Nekomamushi. I wasn't thinking of the minks being part of that, but I suppose
me neither, yeah.
If the 9 red scabbards means protectors of stuff, then they wouldn't need to be Wano people.
Not to make this overly complex or anything, but what we're seeing is Zoro's thought process of who he thinks the 9 red scabbards are. Again, I'm not trying to overthink it, but is it possible he's mistaken, or is this more of word of God, I feel like this is word of God, Oda confirming who the 9 red scabbards are with the title and the...
I don't think it's word of God so much as Zoro probably has been briefed on who the 9 red scabbards are, and that the 3 remaining ones are people we need to find.
True, but he doesn't say that he's heard that from anyone.
No.
I guess presumably he has, so I guess that's fair to say. Because he was hanging out, he went here with Kinemon, and they, began their journeys around Wano and whatnot. So I suppose that's fair to say.
Yeah, so the 3 samurai they're still looking for.
Also, by the way, I just want to say how cool I like the effect of how Zoro's hair is blurring into the gray background of this panel.
Yes.
Oda does stuff like that fairly frequent. Not that common, but I always like it. It's cool. It's a nice effect.
Yeah, it would not work in the anime if the whole background was as green as his hair, green screened out.
That's true. It only works in black and white, probably. Cool. Good job.
Yeah, so she has the secret symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zoro's like, yeah, but they know the symbol now. everyone's the location was leaked, the meetup location, and the allies are being captured. And so he's like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna lie down and sleep about it.
Fair thing to do.
He mentions having more boatmen now, but our boat, like in big caps, definitely isn't moving like we want it. I don't know what he means by this. I suppose they need like a special boat in order to sneakily assault or directly assault Onigashima. And they were recruiting boatmen to like paddle it or something.
I think this is a metaphor, meaning that they are acquiring numerous allies, like in their metaphorical boat that is the rebellion, but the boat, or the rebellion, is currently a bit stalled because the enemy has found out their rebellion plan, and this has put a spanner in the works, as they say, and so people are getting arrested and whatnot, so that's my guess.
Yeah, well, all Zoro's gonna do is he's gonna sleep about it, and that's it. And there's just nothing's gonna happen. They're gonna
look at Otama there. Yes. Otoko there, just conked out next to Zoro. Oh, she's good.
I really like as well. Like Zoro's like, oh, these guys are so loud. How am I supposed to sleep? Next panel is completely asleep.
That's true. And I like how just fucking Hiyori is just like going on and on about like how happy she is, while Otoko and Zoro are just asleep, not listening, totally uninterested. Oh, it's good. It's good. Women blathering on and on. Am I right, men? Oh my god, because Zoro is a man, and Otoko is effectively a man, because her name is Otoko. This is social commentary, Oda, you red-pilled motherfucker. Well, there he goes.
Men fall asleep to women, even if they're women who
really
have the boy name.
Indeed. It's that addictive. But hey, before we go on, I just wanted to comment that when they're listing all the red scabbards, I noticed that, this was good. Like, as we see the 6 known red scabbards, as Zoro, shows in the little graph, there's the 3 question marks that we know to be, I think, actually, we should make assumptions, I suppose. I would assume those are the 3 legendary samurai or whatever that we're trying to find. And then she states right underneath, one of them is Kawamatsu, the Kappa, we know that for sure. One of them is Ashura Doji, who we've met, of course. He's the bandit guy. And Denjiro, I don't know if we've heard his name before. We probably have. In fact, I think we have, now that I think about it. But we haven't seen him, and I believe he is just not in the picture yet. So that's one who remains. We're gonna get the Kappa out of jail. I feel confident that the jailbreak, when Luffy pulls that off, we'll get Kawamatsu in there. Ashura will be convinced at some point to join the squad and start working with him. Denjiro, still unknown, so we'll see. We'll see who that guy turns out to be.
Yes. Okay, so now big double-page spread. The prison, the prisoner showcase building, which with wooden bars that look like very easily you could slip out of there.
No, they look kind of small. I don't think you could fit like your shoulders
when you zoom in and see their faces, but when you zoom out, they look cool.
Like the big wide shot looks a little more generous with the size of this. Some people might be able to slip through that. That's fair.
But they got tall head like Marge head skull man.
Yep, there he is.
Saying, you fools, we've caught you, and you're fucked, and you're evil, and you're going to overthrow the government, are you? Well, not anymore. You're in prison.
Got him. And that's embarrassing. This is a weird like pride thing they like to do. Like remember in Fishman Island? I forget the name of the thing, but when this was a thing that happened in historical Japan when if anyone has seen Samurai Champloo. If you remember in Samurai Champloo, part of the narrative in that, I don't know if we talked about this before or whatever, was that like sort of whatever, some of the shit that was going on in Samurai Champloo was that there were Christians in Japan, and Japan did not like that. They were like going through the end of the Sengoku era, I don't know, what the Meiji era, whatever the fuck it was, and Christians were not so well liked in Japan at that time. And so in Fishman Island, there was a thing that happened where, so historically in Japan, I think what they had done, if I remember correctly, was so in Fishman Island, they would force the fishermen, because they were trying to weed out traitors from like sympathizers with Queen Otohime. So they made them like step on a picture of Queen Otohime. This was like a thing they forced you to do to like prove if you were like loyal to her or not. This is some of the new fishermen pirates, Hody Jones and his boys were doing. And in actual Japan, I think they did that with an image of Christ because they were trying to weed out the Christians from like the Buddhists or the Shinto guys or whatever. So yeah, like they did that to try to weed them out. So there's a connection to shampoo, Christianity.
I can't kick my boy. I just can't.
It's just, I mean, it's really funny to think that, like, I mean, I would definitely lie in that situation where, like, I'll be executed if I don't. I don't know, maybe we're less honorable than, like, the people of Japan. I mean, I hate lying, but if it's my life or I have to tell a white lie that hurts no one, I will tell that lie, because it just seems worth doing it. But I admire those who don't. I do.
I was thinking, like, it's not just a Japanese thing. I mean, like, the stepping on photos is kind of, but like the prisoner showcase, that's
like the stocks.
The stocks I was thinking of. Like, throw rotten veg at this criminal.
You could definitely do that in this. You could, piss through the bars, poop through the bars or whatnot. Just get your butt right up close and spray them. Interestingly, I notice in the translator's notes here, and I noticed this again. If you've seen Samurai Champloo or various anime or whatever, like this style of like these crisscross bars is set up to look like the prostitute showcase you'll see in like the red light district. And I know this was in Samurai Champloo when Fu ended up as being a prostitute for like a day or two. Avoided and did not fuck anybody, but she got herself into that situation. And the idea is you're supposed to be able to see through, and obviously, again, they're doing it with prisoners. I'd never heard of it being done as like a jail thing before in this exact way. It was literally to like get a look at the wares. Then again, the prostitutes seem to at least partially be kind of captive, at least in the fucking anime I've seen. I don't know how prevalent that was in the old days. I assume pretty heavily. Whatever. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Anyway, important note: Beppo and the guys are there in the bottom left. They've been beaten the shit out of, and they say to no one in particular, "This is the worst possible situation. I hope they don't think we ran our mouths. Captain will definitely believe us." So
just what we were thinking, that like it's possible they spilled the beans. Apparently, they seem to be thinking that they have not, and they hope that people don't think that they have spilled the beans about the rebellion. And just FYI, I also notice that it's only 3 of them. Like, it's the 3 members of Law's crew here. I don't see anybody else. So, just these guys are the particular fuck-ups. Everybody else doing fine, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Law's submarine is probably just parked somewhere, and the rest of the crew is like, what is he doing
What's
in
going
that
on? I don't speak
place?
Japanese. Where am I?
Oh, I don't like that place. I don't want to be there.
I would say the same thing. Or maybe they're there and they were just off frame. I mean, I suppose it's possible.
It's a bit weird if they're like suddenly there when they haven't been shown to be there at all up to this point.
I'll just assume they aren't.
I feel like they'll like appear for like a big battle. It's like, Law's reinforcements.
I would think so.
So back to the Udon prisoner mines, where the battle with Luffy and everyone, with Queen watching, is still going on.
Time. Mm-hmm.
And Kawamatsu is thinking, I kind of want to be fighting that. That looks like fun.
Ooh, he's a rough and tumble boy. He wants in on this action. That's pretty cool.
And we got a new gifter. We got Madillo Man.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Yes, Madillo Man, freakish armadillo guy, looks cool, and Alpaca Man, of course. I just wanted to point out that it looks like Kawamatsu is still wearing his big wide-brimmed hat, as I was kind of alluding to before. So any thoughts of like seeing his hat in like a room elsewhere? Probably not true. Probably just a coincidence, because he does seem to still have his hat there. Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe it's a common hat style. I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely a common hat style, because Law and
because that dude
Ace made a hat. He learned how to make those hats, and he made one for Oz Jr. or whatever.
That's true, Oz Jr. But I mean, they had like the square black patch on the top. I think was like a specific thing. But I think this is the same hat as that guy who showed up with Crocus in that we've mentioned every time this comes up. Who I still think is Captain Yorkie, but still don't know, unconfirmed. But anyway, so we got Madillo Man, Alpaca Man. They want to fight, and he's got sea stone bullets that he's gonna shoot Luffy with. Watch out! Don't get hit.
Yeah, so he starts shooting, and then Luffy's like, "Hey, Grandpa, I know the future. Do these follow these commands." And like a Sims character, he does.
He literally just goes full NPC mode and just
run
follows.
to the right, bend his knees, ducks under a thing, jumps, headbutts the alpaca man right in the fucking jaw.
Dude, I like that, like, the sea stone bullets from Medillo Man are almost shown to be, like, equally potentially deadly to this alpaca man's spit. Like, they both have to be avoided at all costs. Is alpaca man's spit actually dangerous? Like, is that what's being implied here? It, like, could hurt you?
I think it's like Chew, who is a similar character.
I don't think Chew...
When he spits water with his big lips.
Did that actually hurt? Was that like a real thing?
Yeah, it was like he spits so hard with his powerful cheek muscles that it could like hit you like a bullet.
Okay,
That's why
I believe you.
Usopp had to dodge that.
That's right. Okay, anyway, I'm with you. Anyway, here goes Hyo, dodging, moving, being agile as fuck. And I like this one shot of Luffy just giving him the thumbs up while like bullets are going directly above and below Luffy's arm. Just barely avoiding
I know
that.
exactly where to put all of my body parts in order to get not hit. He doesn't even need to be rubber anymore to bounce bullets back. You can just dodge them.
Not only is Luffy... so I guess just in summary, Luffy is clearly using Katakuri level observation haki here. He has clearly obtained it and is using it.
Well, I'm wondering about, like...
Maybe not quite Katakuri level, I guess.
Yeah, because, like, I think... a lot of observation haki has, like, even in the low levels of observation haki.
Yeah.
Even back in Sky Pier, where the fat guy used it. Mm-hmm. Mantra, or whatever they called it.
Right.
Where he could see just ahead of time what would people be doing.
Yeah.
So Katakuri was like seeing possible futures.
I
can't actually
true?
remember. I mean, it was an advanced level.
So, I mean, that just, generally, I think it just implies he could just see, like, more. He could see, like, further. More than, like, just, like, a second or a split second or something.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it seems like Luffy is, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, again, this is all kind of hard to, like, judge panel by panel. And, going back and watching the anime of the fight with Katsukuri, as I haven't watched the whole thing, but I watched bits and pieces, it does actually do a pretty good job of, like, communicating what's meant to be conveyed a little more clearly than the anime, than the manga did. So, I feel, again, stuff like this will be, like, a little more clear when that happens. I mean, I feel like this is implying that Luffy's, even if he's not at fully Katsukuri level, like, even while fighting Katsukuri, Luffy had his moments where it seemed like he was, like, getting basically on equal footing with his observation haki. Not consistently, but every once in a while he was, like, growing as it went through.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm thinking is that he's obviously not exerting himself here, so he's not using the fullest amount of observation haki.
Yeah.
But, like, by fighting Katakuri, he's gained, like, an ability to get to that level, but it causes immense, like, concentration. And so, by practicing like that in that fight, he's gotten good enough that lower-level observation haki is relatively easy, and he doesn't even really need to think about it.
I mean, the first moment we saw Luffy, after the time skip, when he was attacked by a couple of pacifistas, whatever, and, like, he dodges, like, a bunch of lasers, like it's hard to know, like, what's the difference between that scene at the very beginning of the time skip, like, versus now, and, like, these things Luffy's doing right now. Like, if you were to go, like, moment for moment, beat for beat, it'd probably be hard to, like, figure out exactly what the difference is there. I guess it's that Luffy is not only easily dodging this, but also at the same time is able to tell Hyo what to do. Like, obviously that's impressive that he's got this much awareness.
Yeah, it's really just like, he's gained more power, but you don't need, like, more observation to be able to dodge a bullet. You just need to, like, it's just so much easier for him than it used to be.
Yes. So, rather than getting caught up in the weeds of the specifics, I think we get the gist. He's getting better at observation haki. And, it's interesting. We've seen Luffy, like... Luffy's development through the series was flat for a pretty long time. We would see him, like, in new arcs. He would, like, pull out a new attack or whatever. But, like, the first real upgrade was obviously during, Enies Lobby when he pulled out Gear Second and whatnot. Up to that point, he just was adapting to his enemies to overcome, like, their specific weaknesses or whatever, or their specific strengths. And, like, so there was, like, Gear Second, Gear Third... and then time skip happened and just, like, overall haki upgrades. And then, like, Gear 4th was unveiled as a thing. But, like, with Katakuri, it's really the first time that with Luffy, it's been like, okay, we're seeing Luffy, like, progress on screen in a more traditional shonen sense. And I mean, observation hockey here, clearly we're seeing the fruits of that. But there's been no specific training arc, and a training arc would probably feel terrible, like, for One Piece. That is such an adventure-focused series. Like, something's always happening. You never have, like, I don't know, like a Yu Yu Hakusho-esque section, or like a Hunter x Hunter. Let's go to a place, train specifically before our next adventure, or whatever. It's just all happens throughout.
I think the way it could happen.
And I like those, so I'm not even shitting on them, necessarily.
Yeah, like, I think this is very much just going along with the adventure and then hinting at training arcs. I think Oda doesn't like training montages or arcs. He likes to imply that they have been happening. Mm-hmm. But if it did happen, it would probably, if you really wanted to do that, it could still work, because it would be like a Dragon Ball Z thing where Luffy gets taken to a place or goes away and does a training, and everyone else does fights that are like, you know, without him, and then he comes back having trained, and then beats the final guy.
There's a couple moments that reflect that. Obviously, the 2-year time skip was obviously the biggest one by far.
Yes.
But like other than that, I mean, one moment that comes to mind is when Luffy first got impaled by Crocodile at the relative like midpoint of Alabasta or whatever, and was like thought dead. Or maybe it wasn't that midpoint. Maybe it was getting close to the end. Whatever. Like, he comes back riding on Pell, like, maybe it was like a week or a day or two later, whatever, and he's bandaged up. He's hurt, but he's basically 100% recovered for all, like, fighting purposes. But, like, he's got his water bottle, and he has learned, like, now I know how to fight Crocodile. So, like, that was almost, it wasn't really a training arc. That was more of just, like, a learning the specific weakness of the enemy you need to exploit. So, I don't know. I don't know what my point was. But anyway, Luffy's training. He's growing. It's pretty cool.
And now he's trying out his armament power thing.
Indeed,
by getting his fist ready, going to punch Armadillo Man, which I noticed the way he protects his face is that an armadillo comes up and hugs his face.
It's not like he like changes, but an armadillo like appears on his head.
It's sort of like wrapped underneath him, and then it comes up, and it's just got little cute beady eyes.
Oh, I almost feel bad that Luffy's about to punch it.
Yeah, and but Luffy doesn't punch it, and he just falls to the side. It's like, damn it, I'm not doing it right. And so he's like treating this as totally not serious, totally not dangerous. Like, you know, you guys are basically sandbags that I'm practicing against in Smash.
Yep. Exactly. And, you know, fair enough. So whatever. So Hyo, you know, asks him like what exactly this. He just explains what Gib just said. And Luffy specifically comments, like, the reason that I'm training, obviously just for general power-up purposes, Luffy is obviously keeping his loss to Kaido in mind. And if I recall correct, I do remember Luffy, like, punching Kaido several times. Kaido just not budging at all, taking, like, no damage.
Kaido took the full brunt. Like, he didn't put up any guard.
He used Gear Fourth, didn't he?
He used Gear Fourth, he did everything, and then, you know, Kaido had a bit... He looked a little beat up, but he didn't, like, have any sort of damage on him.
Yeah. I mean, it could just be that thing where, like, I mean, if you get hit by a punch, you might get, like, scuffed looking, kind of. And, like, in a manga, it's a little bit hard to tell between, like, being scuffed versus, like, hurt. Because those are kind of correlates for each other.
I think he may have drawn a little bit of blood on his lip or something. So it's, like, implied that it's possible to hurt Kaido. But Kaido is so strong that one hit defeated Gear Fourth or something.
Well, I mean, possibly. I'd like to go back. I would be surprised if Oda had drawn any blood. I don't remember seeing any, but maybe it was.
Yeah, probably not. Let's say there wasn't.
I guess we really should just go back and look. But in any case, like, we see Luffy specifically say that, like, okay, like, I need to be able to generate, like his black, I don't know, coca, whatever it's called, kind of haki. Like, that's fine, but I need this higher level of haki that I've seen Rayleigh and apparently, what's his name? I was gonna say Shishomaru. What the fuck's that guy's name? He's like that weird sumo guy. Do you remember his name? I can't fucking remember.
From when?
That sumo guy. He's on the next page. Him and Rayleigh are pushing back. Seppukumaru? No. Sentomaru. That's the one. Okay, good. So Luffy needs to power up to their level, apparently, to be able to break through Kaido's tough scales. Even though
Still
he was not transformed,
really
he did not
weird
have scales.
It still feels really weird that Sentomaru is like this superpowered guy.
Okay, that's the thing. Let's discuss this, because this is a thing I feel like is going on. Okay, we have to address the elephant in the room with this, that, like, okay, yes, obviously Rayleigh was shown to be really powerful. Okay, the fact is, we never in One Piece saw the kind of black coloring of using haki until post-time skip. It was not seen. Up to that point, every usage of armament haki was, like, invisible and was drawn with, like, blast effects around it. So, like, can I believe that, like, Oda knew about the black coloring of haki, maybe, or was thinking about it while he was drawing Rayleigh, while Rayleigh was demonstrating high-level armament haki, like, right before the time skip? That's possible. That's possible. However, Sentomaru over here was initially shown as the bodyguard of Dr. Vegapunk. That's a fact. Was not yet a Marine. I think he's a Marine captain now, or Vice Admiral, whatever it is now. And he showed up in Shaboni Archipelago, like, right as haki was starting to be a thing. He was, like, one of the first characters to actually use haki out in the open. And are we supposed to believe now that Rayleigh and Sentomaru both have, like, this high-level haki, and Oda intended all along for, like, clear armament haki to be, like, the higher-level one, and this black stuff that Luffy figured out, oh, that's just, like, the lower-level one. Even though fucking, what's-his-face, Black Arm Zed from Film Z, like, his whole thing was that he goes full Black Arm. I thought that'd be, like, the highest level. And look at Virgo, like, a armament specialist, he's full blacked. What's up with that?
I think, he didn't, like, I don't think, like, clear armament haki literally is, like, clearer. I think what it is, because even in this chapter, the guy does the push flash, doesn't touch the guy armament haki force push, but his arm is black.
Yeah,
so
it's black,
it's a stylistic change. I think that the haki makes things go black, and he just didn't decide up until the first time we see it that that's what happens.
No, okay.
Or like he changed that when he realized that he needs some more obvious visual way to show that haki's being used.
I don't think I understand what Oda is trying to get at here. Okay, question on this. They keep talking about how, like, oh my god, he didn't even touch him. He didn't even touch him. Didn't he literally touch him? Can't we see him colliding with his hand against, like, the elephant's foot when Rayleigh did it? And, like, didn't fucking Sentomaru touch him and, like, push him away with his hand?
Well,
is there, like, a couple barrier of a few inches or something that we can't see?
I think it's a few inches. I think the point of it isn't really that it doesn't touch, but it's that it's so powerful a push that they don't even need to touch, if you know what I mean. So like they it's a force so much more powerful than simple armament haki, that touching them isn't necessary, whereas with normal armament haki it is necessary. It's not that it's completely a, like, they don't just hold their hand out and then a force, like, shoots out like a energy beam.
Yeah,
it's a different sort of thing.
But I mean, there's a lot of emphasis being on how he doesn't even touch Boruto. Not to get too crazy about it, but, like, we know. Okay, it's discussed at this point as well that, like, while they're fighting, Hyogoro here says, like, like, Luffy, why aren't you hitting? And Luffy's like, I'm trying to, level up my haki or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, we've got a thing like that where we've got swordsmen in Wano who, and okay, now it's a thing. So I just want to address this, that Hyo is saying that, like, our swordsmen have an ability like this that allows them to channel it into their sword from their body. So, like, this haki can, like, leave their body and enter another object, which we've seen many times. And he says that this ability lets them cut the thickest steel and, like, not even slice paper. So, okay, everything that we learned about when Zoro learned to cut steel was exactly what Hyogoro is referencing right now.
Yes.
So we're just getting 100% confirmation that that's just what haki looks like in a sword. This is just what happens when you put haki into a sword. It makes you do what Zoro did. That is not like a special different ability. That is just haki. That is what it is for swords people.
I mean,
like, but why though? But, like, how does that even make sense? I don't understand.
Well, why? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what haki is either, but
to get a little conspiratorial? Well, I don't know, maybe a little bit. because haki is will, right? Haki is one's will. That's what haki means, like the kanji or whatever. So, like, if you will yourself to cut steel and you put your haki into your sword, of course, like, your steel sword with haki can slice, like, steel beams or whatever, like do 9/11 or some crazy fun things like that. And if you put your will into a sword with your haki, if you will it to not cut paper, then it won't cut paper. Maybe that's like the idea. It's like your spirit energy kind of is controlling it. I guess.
It's I mean the metaphor the entire time was like control. Like if you have incredible control over your weapon as an extension of your arm and all that sort of swordsman stuff, then you can make it do whatever you want. Essentially, it's sort of like a superhuman amount of control, where you can decide what gets cut and what doesn't, including things that can't help but be cut and things that cannot be cut. It's just sort of Superman level swordsman skill, and now it's just being allocated to haki as a umbrella, I guess.
Thinking about it that way, it's not like the most offensive thing I've ever heard, but like I do want to say though, I think that if there's any crime being committed here, quote unquote crime, it's not a big deal. It's like the exact same way that what Shanks did in Chapter 1, where he like made that the whatever it's called, the fish thing, run away. The Sea King made the Sea King flee with what we now know to be Conqueror's Haki. I think Oda has pulled the same thing with Armament Haki and kind of retroactively made it be the thing that Zoro used. I mean, because Haki didn't exist at that point in the series.
I thought about the Shanks thing, and I realized that, it may feel like
because that's a common trope. That's a common trope in shonen.
It may feel like cheapening, but I think it doesn't actually. I think what it is just putting a label onto something that Shanks has achieved and making it so that it's something our main characters, can also achieve. And to show that when Luffy can do the thing that Shanks did, then he's as good as Shanks or better. It's just like a label to put on an amount of progression in the story. Early on, we don't need to know because it's mysterious and we're all learning about the world. But now we know so much about the world that leaving certain things mysterious for no reason is sort of, I don't know. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. I just feel like it's not a big deal. I think that what Shanks did was haki. I don't think it gets cheapened even now.
I don't think it's particularly bad. I just think that one should be aware of these facts. As I think, like, if it doesn't really matter for the narrative of the story particularly much. I mean, my radar, my alarm bells go off when I see retcons, only in the sense of, like, one, like, has the story been written fine with the presence of haki? It's like, you could ask, why didn't, like, Ace use haki against Blackbeard in their original fight? Oh, that's right, because haki didn't exist yet. That's why he didn't use haki yet. Retroactively, it makes, like, Ace look weak. Like, compared to, like, our characters now, even though he was, like, the number 3 in Whitebeard's crew. Whitebeard, like, never used haki. A little bit here and there he did, but...
I mean, you could argue that we didn't see the entire fight, and if haki, as it was, like, certain things
I'm just saying, this
haki,
is the price we pay for retroactive continuity of this way. Like, things that earlier in the series feel a little bit weird when compared to later stuff.
I mean, like, I could only like agree with that after I've reread the series, because I feel like I wouldn't feel that it's weak.
I feel confident. I mean, because that's how I feel right now. Like, I look back at the Blackbeard versus Ace fight. Don't get me wrong, it was a great fight, but it's just that because Oda introduced these concepts that, like, the whole thing about haki is every endgame character knows about it and has access to it, which would absolutely include Blackbeard and Ace. And yet, like, we don't see any of that in the fight, even though it's, like, core to fighting styles of higher-level guys. And the fact that we don't see it, when you compare that to later fights, again, does not make the fight back then any worse. But what it makes is, when you compare it to later fights, you feel that the world evolved, and Oda he had not thought everything out. And, like, that's fine. It's just that I hate the idea of giving authors credit they have not earned. And maybe this is a personal thing, but I really want to hold authors to account. And I hate rabid fanboyism so much. And I think it's so destructive to, I don't know, like, the real enjoyment of series, that I feel like it's my duty to point out any kind of shenanigans like this. And I feel it's a worthwhile thing to do. I don't know. Just because I take it seriously, because I value the work of these guys, I don't want to just give them a pass, because I'm trying to hold everybody to a high standard. And I'm not saying you're not or anything, but I don't know. That's what I think.
I want to bring in like a comparison.
Sure.
The fight between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back with their lightsabers.
Yeah.
It's a very slow, very scary, sort of, subdued. The lightsabers don't really clash that many times.
The actual action. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more about the themes and the characters. And in the prequels and now in the new trilogy, the lightsaber. The new trilogy is pretty good, but like the prequels specifically had too much choreography, too many lightsabers smashing, and the fights went on way too long, and it was overblown, and the characters were like.
And even if you like those, by comparison, the originals look, like silly by comparison almost.
Yeah. It's sort of like...
It's like that, yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, the earlier fights in One Piece, they may feel, because of the lack of these certain newer things that were always there, but now they're new, they may seem like more quaint or, less impressive or less epic than they were before. But I don't think that, like... adding having the haki in the newer fights and not having it in the older fights really means anything if you are smart enough to know that if you're smart enough to like care about the characters rather than the fighting, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, of course that's true.
It depends how you
I
feel like you may be arguing from a point that you personally wouldn't like get suckered by. Like, you wouldn't think the newer fights are more epic than the older fights just because they have more stuff in them.
Of course not. And even though I think Katakuri is the best fight of the series in many ways, it's not like because of the new powers or anything.
You still would really think that like the Ace fight and the Blackbeard fight is really good.
It's great, of course.
Yeah. So like I feel like arguing that it maybe cheapens it for some people. I don't know. I don't really care to argue for the positions of other people.
Well, I mean, I will argue my own position right now, which is absolutely that. Looking back at it narratively, I would say the fact that Haki does not come up once in that fight, narratively, according to the real canon of One Piece, as it's established, makes no sense. It does not make sense that like Haki was not used or referenced one time, and it's just because of the way that One Piece has been written, and that's okay. That's it's fine. But like I don't think it's crazy to say it's kind of a mark against the writing process of One Piece. One would ideally want you to think out as many details as possible. And again, it's my favorite series ever. It's not a huge deal, but I think it's a fair criticism.
I'll just disagree with that statement that it's doesn't make sense, but we don't need to get into it any further than this.
Okay.
Because we got to talk about the end of this chapter.
And I just wanted to say that, but yes, we will. Like on the back to this about Hyo and whatnot. Perhaps the idea of this whole like Haki hand thing going on, is perhaps the idea is that like because the way that they were describing that like swordsmen project Haki into their swords, maybe the idea is that like they kind of put the Haki like in the palm of their hand and maybe even kind of extended a little bit beyond their hand in the same way you would kind of project it into a sword. And in that sense, there's like a little bit of a space there where you are kind of making like a small little force field, I suppose, outside your hand. And that's why there's all this reference to, he didn't even touch it, which to me is reasonable. It doesn't seem crazy. And maybe that's what Sentomaru was doing too. And even though Sentomaru, he doesn't seem to be like the most powerful character ever or anything like that. Like he does happen to know that one particular technique very well, and that would seem reasonable to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, Grandpa Hyogoro the Flower, does his demonstration of what he was talking about just then. And he does the exact thing that Luffy's been trying to do. He does the not quite touching the llama in the neck punch.
Yep.
And you can see his hand go black. And there it is. He does the powerful thing.
Incidentally, just to make sure I understand what's going on here. So he hits him in the neck. I thought this move was specifically kind of like a counter, but like he hits him in the neck, right? So I don't think he was like swinging his head at him or anything. So is this move actually like a blast, or is it a counter?
I thought it was a blast, like the way Rayleigh made the elephant fall over. The elephant wasn't doing anything. Maybe.
Well, no, the elephant was swinging his foot at him. He was like bringing his foot down at him. So I always thought it was
I see what you're saying. It's like a block and then riposte.
Is it like a Smash Bros. Down B counter where like you need them to hit you and then you do extra damage like on a return, or is it straight up just a blast that you know?
I assumed it was a blast, and this seems to
it looks like it here
that it is just a blast that you can do.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like a martial arts sort of thing.
I think that if I remember correctly, I think Sentomaru was doing it that way too. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see more, but it looks that way to me now. Looks like a blast. So, I mean, if that's true, I think this is the first time we've, like, confirmed that Armament Haki is actually, like truly offensive and not just, like, either a counter or a defensive thing. And obviously, I know you can put on your punches to make them stronger, put on your sword to cut more stuff. We've known that. But I just mean, like, for somebody like Luffy, he could, like, do a blast or something like that. So cool, I guess. I look forward to seeing more.
Yeah, so Hyogoro having this power means that he's not just an old man who is withered away. He still has the ability to do stuff, which means that's good. That means he's not completely useless.
You know, maybe there's, like, motivational reasons why and whatnot, but, like, this guy was, like, falling over dying, like, a couple chapters ago. His whole thing was, like, he was worked to the bone, and he was falling over. It strikes me as slightly surprising he can, like, muster the energy to do a Haki blast. But then again, it is Haki, which is willpower, so maybe he just, like, you know, summoned the will, and he's been inspired by Luffy and all that jazz.
It's probably partly that, and also partly that he's been eating so much of that nice food. That
Luffy's been helping him out with that's true. He did eat all those. That is true.
Maybe if he eats all of the food, he'll get buff again.
Yeah, I feel like this man's going to triple in size after getting, like, an actual meal.
He's going to steal all of the food, and then Queen and Big Mom will be like, what the fuck? And then there's going to be a three-way battle.
Oh, that'll be good. I look forward to it. But that's
so
it.
Much stuff could happen when Big Mom gets here. I'm so excited to see.
It's going to be exciting. Hopefully next chapter, which hopefully will be next week. I don't know, fam. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so clearly we have acquired. So we knew Hyo was going to be helpful for like Yakuza connections and political help and whatnot, getting more allies and samurai on their side. But now we know he is literally going to teach Luffy a power that will. I mean, according to Luffy, this might be how Luffy is able to damage Kaido. Are we setting up Luffy to defeat Kaido 1v1? Is that where we're going? Is that possible?
I believe it is setting up Luffy to be the one to deal the final blow.
He barely beat Katakuri, so he did not even come close to Big Mom.
I mean, a thing I've said before is, like, we've got so many of the worst generation, the crazy people here.
Yep.
Kid and Law and Luffy and Killer probably and Zoro. That all of them are going to come together as along with all the samurai and all the good guys, and they're going to do like 1,000,000 stabs on Kaido, and then he's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm so hurt from all of this attacks at the same time," and Luffy comes in with his final like Gear 4 push blast Haki punch right to the face. It's gonna knock him out or something.
Indeed,
it's gonna knock him out. It's gonna make him draw blood, and then Kaido's gonna wake up and say, "Oh, you hurt me. Thanks, bro."
Best
and then
friends,
best friends.
Party time. Like, look at, I just like Queen, like, in between, like, laughing and just having a great time, like, watching his own lads get beat up and just enjoying the sumo fight. I mean, what's Queen gonna do? I can't wait to see Queen's abilities just hanging out here. What the hell are you doing, Queen? I don't know. But what I want to see, I think, so the Zelda Breath of the Wild, the final boss, was a little disappointing, because the way you beat him is you go power up these statues, and they make the final boss weaker, which is the opposite of what you want a satisfying finale to be. You want it to be as strongest, then you overcome it at the greatest challenge. But the point is, in this situation, where we got Luffy, like a set protagonist of a certain level of strength, I want to see, like, him use his allies, them all, you know, do their big laser blasts, whatever, to weaken Kaido to the point where they've all used up their energy, and it's just Luffy left standing, and it's the weakened Kaido. Now, Luffy, 1v1. You can take him down now that he's been weakened so much. Time for the final epic duel between Luffy and a Yonko. Oh, my God, that could be sick. If that's how it goes, I would be very stoked. And now that this arc has given Luffy the potential to develop a weapon that can hurt Kaido, oh, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Although, I suppose it's a little odd that, I mean, we've seen a couple of people who seemingly have this ability that Luffy claims is potentially strong enough to hurt Kaido, and yet Kaido goes on and on about how he can't die. There seem to be quite a few people out there. You know, it's probably that thing of, like, he wants to die in a cool way.
That's why I said, like, he'd be knocked out by the end. I don't think Kaido will die. I think it would be kind of ridiculous for Kaido to die. It might not be ridiculous for Big Mom to die, comparatively. But I also don't think Big Mom's gonna die. But then I don't know.
Me neither.
Whitebeard died, but, you know.
That was like a thing, though, him and Ace.
That was a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be. It could be. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As always. But that's it, everybody. We'll be back next week, hopefully, with another chapter. Anything else to say, Gib, before we wrap up?
Go check out the Poddy Discord and subscribe. Pledge money to the Poddy Patreon cast.
The Poddy Atreon. That's patreon.com/thepodcastpirates. Link in the description below. Please support us making this show that we love so well to continue talking about our favorite mango. Thanks for being here. See you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.